Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Mares in Black, Artist Spotlight. I am Jackie. Below me is Heather, and we are joined today by Cynthia Wyatt Briley.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
And I just want to say I'm so honored to be on here. Just had to put that in there.
Oh, thank you. Cynthia, tell us who you are.
Oh, I'm just that weird horse girl that, you all love and know. Who am I?
Who are you, Cynthia? Who do you think you are?
I don't
know. So how did you get into the hobby?
Well, gosh, I started out, as I was that kid, that weird kid that pretty much came out of the womb loving horses. I ran around and cantered and neighed and started drawing horses when I was probably in the first grade or so, and discovered Breyer horses in a toy store one day, and that was it. That was bribery from then on. So whenever my mom wanted me to do anything, that I didn't want to do, there was a Breyer horse ride.
That's
nice.
That's
good bribery, man. I would have responded to that bribery.
Yeah, that would
I'm all about sweeping the floor.
That would have worked.
So I just, every Christmas, every birthday, what do you want? Horse. So I always wanted a real horse, but I never could have a real horse. My mother was deathly afraid of horses, so that was off the table. So model horses was the next best thing, and I collected. I think my first one was Adios.
Oh, nice.
And then of course the family Arabian Stallion and Mare and Foal. Everybody on the continent has those, and I still have them. I still have them in my collection.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, your story sounds like my story. Like, just at Christmas and birthdays, what do you want? Why are you asking?
Yeah, why do you ask?
Here's the catalog. I've circled what I don't have.
Right.
Exactly. And invariably there would be this well-meaning, distant family member that would try to make me feminine, and she would give me Barbies or whatever. Yeah. And I didn't like dolls. I didn't have baby dolls or any of that. I had a lot of one-legged Barbies because I kept trying to cram them down on the horse, and then I couldn't get the leg back on. So I had a lot of one-legged Barbies running around. And Mark's horses too. I collected the Mark's horses. I had Comanche and Poncho, and
nice.
I think I had the Lone Ranger and Silver. Mm-hmm. I still have him. And
I played with those until they fell apart.
Yeah,
Lone Ranger and Tonto. Yeah,
I still have Comanche with 3 legs. He's got the other one taped to his body. So, but yeah, they're all still in my collection.
So when did you kind of morph into being a model horse hobbyist? Like, how'd you find out about the hobby?
It was actually a lot later. I was actually around 28 years old before I really got back, discovered the whole hobby. I really didn't know anything about it. In the meantime, I kind of forgot about horses for a while and went to boys, which, the whole thing. I told my mom she should have just got me a horse, because I went to boys and there was this, the whole ordeal with guys, and it would have just been a lot easier if she just got me the horse. So,
amen, sister. I had
and I was living in Raleigh, and I had just gotten divorced from my first husband, and my mother and we had an aquarium shop. I right there on right near the zoology department at State.
Oh wow!
So we were running that together, and I moved back in with them because my stepfather was very ill. So I kind of moved back in to help out and kind of get on my feet. And lo and behold, my mother had stored away a box of my Breyers. And so she said, "Do you still want these?" And I kept them all these years for you. And So I started looking and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if people are still doing this. And then I went and got on, and I was like, went and got on the computer and went to eBay, and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And I was
That
blown
is so
away.
funny.
I was like, I can't believe this, and then of course I went into this whole, I got sucked in and went into this whole buying frenzy and was buying horses, and then I saw customs, and then I was like, oh wow, I want to do that,
That is so funny. That's the exact same thing that happened to me. Like 1994, I was like, I wonder if the hobby's still around.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And it was crazy. There was this whole underground going on.
Yeah.
Briar crazy people.
Because back in the late 70s, early 80s, I was, the customs were just starting to really pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Elizabeth Boris's stuff and, Kathy Mastis and all those people. And I was like, I wonder what's going on with customs after I'd kind of dove. And then I saw Sarah's stuff. I hadn't seen Sarah's stuff until then, and I was like, what did I miss? Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I was like, I can't believe all this has been going on this whole time. I didn't know about it. It's crazy. So yeah, I started, just wanting to know more about it. And I think in one of the horses that I ordered off of eBay, it was in a box and it had the insert in it. And the insert was talking about the JAH magazine. Mm-hmm. And so immediately I got that. And, they always had, like, Jen Dan's always had like a how-to section, and I learned a lot with that. But then it just, just blossomed because I started learning all these artists and I started looking them up. And I think I ordered a book by Sarah Trigay long time ago, and it was basically on cutting up, horses, cutting heads off and moving limbs and all this, and just how to get started. So I just started, started trying it. So, and just went from there.
Wow. I think if I could tell Briar anything about how people get into the hobby, every single person we have interviewed has said just about horses.
Oh yeah.
Like hardcore.
Yeah.
Especially the artists, like from the how-tos and just about horses.
And I would read it over and over again. Mm-hmm. And used to, they had the little want ads and stuff and the for sale ads in the back. It was great.
Oh yeah, I had a stud dam list back there, and I
sent so many freaking self-addressed stamped envelopes across this great country of ours. Oh my goodness. So Just About Horses was kind of your gateway to customizing. Just out of curiosity, because this is bubbling around on the edges of the hobby lately, do you have any formal art training?
Actually, I have a little. I have been drawing since I was, walking, really. I was drawing horses, and of course they were really horrible. And my parents were divorced. My dad lived in Florida, so he would send me cards and stuff, and then I would try to draw them. Mm-hmm. And then my mom started me in oil painting classes,
Nice.
So after school I would go for those. And then when I was 16, my art teacher encouraged me to go to an open call at the North Carolina School of the Arts in Winston-Salem. And so I took my little portfolio and I went up there and I got accepted on the spot.
Nice.
Wow.
And so, I went, but I only went for about a year. It became a little too traumatic for me. I was very sheltered, and I had some, crazy stuff happen while I was there. And, the art, and it's an art school. So much more advanced than me, mature and everything. I was so immature, and it was just too much. So the day I had someone coming from Pratt in New York to look at my work, I walked in and quit, and I thought my art teacher was going to have an aneurysm. But I actually got so burnt out, I didn't do anything. Yeah, wow, I didn't stay with it though. It really burnt me out actually on art. I really got out of it for a long time after that. I was sick of art people and the whole deal.
I mean, Go ahead.
No.
I mean, we heard similar stuff from Kylie, who went to art school, that said, I want to do art. I don't want to do art like this way. This is not good for me. This doesn't fulfill me. So, I mean.
Well, they were very into abstract. I was very into realism. And that's the,
yeah, exactly.
And again. And, and then there was stuff that I just wasn't mentally prepared for, just too grown up. Just the crowds. I was getting exposed to too many things that, it was too early for me for. Right. And it scared me, really. I just wanted away from it.
Yeah.
So.
No, totally understandable.
Wow.
But I mean, Pratt, you must have been good.
Damn, yeah.
Good for you.
Well, drawing, I just did, that's pretty much, I was a big time introvert. And so a lot of time was spent drawing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little rusty now, actually. I need to be doing more.
So I know you mentioned Sarah Trier and Jen Danza, but anybody else's work kind of inspire you to get started? Like,
yeah, and I'm invariably going to leave somebody out.
Yeah.
Everybody says that.
But initially, there's so many, and there's so many great talents out there. Initially, though, when I first started, the first horse show I went to was in Greensboro, and I think Michelle McMaster's was it was her show. She was hosting it, and I sat beside this girl, and I think her name was Tina Ferrero.
Oh my,
Tina Ferro.
Tina Ferro.
Tina Ferro.
Tina Ferro.
She was big in the hobby then, and
I was probably at that show.
She had that collection of Leslie Kathman's stablemate that absolutely, and I'm sitting over there trying to hide my little ponies. I was like scooting them farther and farther over, so she couldn't see them. I was so embarrassed. And it's the first time I had seen that type of, that level of detail and preciseness, and I was blown away. And, at first I was like, oh God, I'm just going to go home. And, but I stayed and I got a few ribbons, classes like when there was 2 horses and I got a second place, but it, it kind of started something kind of, I was like, I really want to do that. I want to be better. And so Leslie Kathman was a big influence. Sarah Mink, always, I loved her. Resculpting was crazy good. She blew me away. And Carolyn Boydston, I took a workshop with her at my first Briar Fest, and she's just, not only was she super nice and helpful, she's incredibly talented. She's a great 2D artist too. I mean,
Carolyn's fantastic. She's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, I actually bought one of her horses at the workshop. She had done a dapple gray Huck in the workshop, and I bought him and kept him for years. He was one of my show horses. But yeah, she was, and there was a lot. Lynn Fraley, her resculpts were amazing. And Chris Nandell, Chris Jolly, there was just a lot of really good artists. They were just my mentors.
So that sounds like you came in at around the early 90s, 92, 93.
Yeah, I'm terrible with dates, but that's pretty much about the time.
Yeah, because that's kind of the A-list for that period. Like,
exactly.
So what about now? Like, who do who's kind of influencing you now?
Who inspires you now, Cynthia?
Well, there's a lot bigger list now.
Right?
It's crazy. There's just so many talented people. I'm just so shocked by all the talent that has come out. Of course, I still love Sarah. Sarah's just amazing. As far as, and Kylie is just, she's just one of those people that just came into the hobby like boom,
Right.
I'm excellent at everything.
We talk about that. We talk about how, like, Kylie just kind of came out of nowhere. It was just like nuclear. You know?
Yeah.
Like if you talk to her, she'll tell you it was a long road, but like to everybody else's eyes, the first time I saw Kylie was like when she brought her first horse to the Briarfest open show, and I was like, who is this chick? Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's what I was like, she just came out of the blue and just it was crazy. She's so talented. Morgan and Maggie, of course.
You guys have, speaking of which, you guys have quite the artist tribe down there in North Carolina. Like you have Morgan and Maggie and Stephanie and Leslie. Like that. I know you guys have lunches that I'm always just super jealous about.
I know. I'm so blessed to be in this area. I mean, Morgan's 20 minutes from me.
That's fantastic.
And Maggie's like an hour, and of course, Steph is another one I was going to mention. I love Steph's work. She's just phenomenal artist.
She's wonderful.
And of course, Amanda Brock and Nikki Button. I mean, there's just
that's true. Amanda's up in Asheville now.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's so crazy to be so close to all these amazing artists. I try not to be awestruck. Try not to act like a fan nerd all the time around them.
Well, I mean, you're an amazing artist in your own right, or we wouldn't be talking to you, Cynthia.
Well,
so
thank you. I'm not as prolific as a lot of people. I just had a lot of things going on, and
right.
I hope in the future to become more prolific and start putting out more work. And I want to. There's so many things I want to do. My attention is so. There's so many things, Ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at. I want to do this. Ooh, I want to do this,
I can relate.
Heidi, come here.
Oh my goodness.
Lots of half-finished projects lying around.
Oh Lord.
So can you now this is where Heather is going to be able to articulate things better, because it just says, can you talk about your process? I'm going to assume that means how do you get ideas and put them into.
Well, partially, but technically, I know a lot of people want to know how you work technically as well as intellectually. That's kind of the question. Like either way you want to look at it, people, other artists, especially those who are learning, that are super interested in how you get your references, what inspires you, and then actually how you put brush to paint, what you work with, that kind of thing.
Well, I have learned from showing and from being around Leslie, references are very important. When I first started, I was, I would look at references, but I was still winging it a little bit with markings and stuff like, let's put this on this horse.
Well, that looks good.
Yeah, that's awesome. But that doesn't, that just doesn't always work genetically. So I am learning to make sure that, my references are that I'm always using a reference, and I look at horse pictures all the time. I'm constantly surfing Pinterest and surfing the internet for patterns and things I like, especially if I have a certain breed that I'm painting. Then I'll research that breed, what can and can't, what's not possible in that breed, and then I'll look at examples and stuff like that. And I start with that. I start with a really good reference photo. And, pretty much then comes my worst, the worst thing is prepping. I hate prepping. I absolutely hate it. One of these days, I'm going to hire somebody to prep all of my horses. That would be the pinnacle of hobbydom.
The hardest thing to find in the hobby, a good painters are fun, but preppers are number one. Like, it's so hard to find preppers.
Someone really dedicated could come in and just make bank prepping horses.
Yeah.
I think people do. They start out great and then they burn out because prepping's grueling.
Yeah,
it really is
terrible. And because they get inundated, everybody wants a good prepper. And if you're a good prepper, man, you're gonna get socked with work. So, but then, there's the prepping stage, which takes forever for me. I hate doing it. And then, I use primer. I use a Duplicolor primer, that's what I've started using. I like much better. I've been using it for years now,
Mhm.
especially with micros, because it really doesn't obscure details on those micros.
I was going to say, is it like a super fine primer
It's
grain?
very fine. You go through a lot of cans especially if you have a traditional horse, you really go through you'll go through a whole can really, or I will, on traditional size
Like, oh,
horse.
missed a spot.
I
Damn.
missed the spot. There we go. And there's half can. So, and I predominantly airbrush, but I am learning with the micros, that's really not feasible. I mean, you can do it. I have
blow 'em
done
across
it,
the
but I
table.
don't recommend it.
Pew.
So I'm learning other mediums. I'm starting to work more with pastels and oils and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
I haven't really found my stride yet. I'm still learning.
So, I mean, yeah, I've been using the first horse I really finished in probably 20 something years. What I did with pastels, because I was using Stephanie's Beethoviano tutorial, and the biggest thing is like this grain is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, your horse was awesome, by the way.
oh, thank you.
It was so pretty, and I love that mold anyway.
It was good. I mean, I really appreciate everybody being so encouraging, because it was like, I'm just going to finish the horse. I'm just going to do this. And it was really great to finish. Like, I got a little bit of an endorphin high.
Nice.
But back to you. Working in airbrush. Do you still do that on traditionals?
Yes.
Because airbrushing is interesting. It was all the rage in the 90s, and it's kind of going out of fashion now. I'm a huge acolyte of Pamela Hutton, and she did almost all of her work with an airbrush. And so when people say airbrush doesn't get you the realism that you need, I'm like,
I don't agree with that.
I think what happened with airbrush is we had a lot. It was perceived as something that was going to be easy and fast, and it's not. And we had a lot of people churning out a lot of stuff that wasn't great and didn't sell. And I think that's what happened with airbrushing.
Right. And I mean,
it's not the tool. It's not the tool.
Right. It's the tool. Because look at Summer Prosser's stuff.
Right.
And Cynthia's stuff. Yeah.
She's one of the best airbrush artists I know. She's phenomenal. Her and Carolyn's phenomenal.
Carolyn airbrushes as well. So
I do want to learn other. I am dabbling with oils and stuff. Just whatever it takes, really. I do like airbrushing a lot. It's very cathartic, and then but I end up doing a lot of stuff on top of it, whether it be oils, pastels, or other things on top. So it's kind of a mixed media now. Really, which a lot of people are doing.
Yeah.
But airbrushing's tough. I still fight with my airbrush, on a regular basis.
They like to clog. What paint do you use in your airbrush, out of curiosity? What's your chosen brand?
Liquitex, and thin it with water. And that's just what I started with, because that's what, Carolyn was using, and so I started with that, and now I've tried a few others. Now I'm using some golden paints and things like that. And Myla Pierce is a phenomenal airbrush artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention her earlier. She was also one of my. I thought her stuff was amazing. I'd seen her work in person, was blown away.
Yeah,
but she was great with an airbrush.
So how do you work? Do you work in batches? Do you work one horse at a time? Do you paint all day? Do you have do you schedule a block of time, or you just kind of wing it?
Well,
and I know we're also gonna, juxtapose this. We know that, you've had a couple surgeries and been in and out of the hospital. So, and you have a chronic condition that I'm sure affects your regimen. So,
yeah. Well, I'm slow anyway, and I have to be motivated. A lot of times, if there's something I really don't want to paint, then, you know, I tend to put it off. So I'm really terrible about that. And that's something, if I could just go in the studio and just, you know, sit down at 9 o'clock and work till 5, like I would at a job or something, that'd be awesome. I could get so much done, but, you know, that ain't happening. You know, it's just not going to happen. But I've tried. So it's really just whenever you know, sometimes early in the morning is good, after coffee, you know, when I'm having coffee and stuff, before anybody else in the house is up, and, you know, the dog's been fed, and the cat's been fed, and everybody's quiet, then I can get some painting in. Or sometimes at night, I like to paint at night, and I'll turn on sci-fi movie, or, you know, something I've seen a million times, Galaxy Quest, or, you know,
good choice.
I love that movie.
So it's really just kind of whenever I can find time. I wish I had a more structured schedule, but I don't know that I would stick with it, honestly.
Right. It's not your way.
No. I have to be really motivated to do something, and it's hard for me. If it's, especially if it's something I really don't want to work on, I put it off, or, you know. So I got to get better at that.
I mean, I think that's art, man. If the muse isn't there for you, you're not going to want to work on it. And I mean, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I usually only work on one horse at a time, really.
Right.
I can't seem to, it's hard for me to work on several. I see a lot of the artists will have like 5 horses primed and ready to go, and they're working on each one a little bit. And I have a hard time with that. I really like to really concentrate on one horse at a time.
I also think medium, this is just my observation, medium informs how an artist works. Like pastel artists, we were talking to Nikki, and she batch preps and base coats, but she works on one horse at a time, whereas oil artists cycle through horses because they have to dry. So they have several going at one time.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, oils are a little tough for me because I'm a little impatient, and I like to, you know, get that. I can't stand waiting 2 or 3 days for it to dry, because invariably, if I'm waiting for it to dry, that's when I'm going to want to paint.
Right.
It never fails.
That's just how it is.
So Cynthia, with your health struggles, how does that impact kind of your work, practically and mentally? Does it help to give you something during downtime? Is it harder because you can't work as much as you'd like to? There's a lot of people in the hobby with health issues, and I think it doesn't get talked about a lot. So
I had a hard time after the surgery. And I've had this surgery before. You know, this is a chronic condition I've had since I was in my 20s.
You have IBS, right?
I have Crohn's, and originally it was diagnosed as ulcerative colitis when I was about 28 or so, and I almost died. I was at Chapel Hill for 3 months, and
oh my God,
it was tough. But I haven't really had a lot of problems for years until recently, and then I started having problems again. So I had to go back and have those surgeries again, and it's been hard. The biggest thing is I want to do stuff, but I don't feel good enough to do it. You know, the desire is there, but I don't have the stamina. Just didn't have the energy, and there was some depression going on after that because I was so physically down that it was really affecting my mental status. And then I was seeing all these, you know, all my friends and everything doing stuff, and everybody's painting and everything, and that just made it worse. And I was like, okay,
sure.
So I'm finally starting to kind of climb out of the hole again, and start to feel better and start to get stronger. So
you look great.
Hopefully I'm going to be more prolific.
So favorite pieces. Like, I love your work. It's so soft and beautiful, and it kind of has a watercolor quality that I like to it, you know. What are some of your favorite pieces, Cynthia, that you've done, either in, you know, over the spans or recently? Or
I did piece for Heather Jackson Lane years ago, and it was a portrait of the racehorse Lost in the Fog, and Foggy for short. And it was the first time I'd ever done, like the mud knot tail and everything. I'd never really tried that. And she loved him, and he won a lot. And so I think that was one of my favorite pieces. Recently, I painted a stablemate Alborozo that I did it as commission, but before we actually took it to Big Orange Bash, and he took overall, and I was blown away. I think that might have been like only the second, overall horse I'd ever had. And
Nice.
he was a hair by hair deal, and he was customized by Ginger Combs. And so he's one of my favorites. I'd like to have him back, actually. I was like, no, sure, you can have him.
I dropped him. I broke him. Whoops.
Sorry, he's done. He's gone.
I'll make you another one.
Yeah, lost dog. But I guess those are two of my favorites.
So I've got a question. Can we talk about the hunk on the armature behind you?
Yeah.
Oh, that was one that I have started and am still struggling with, and I get, Morgan's like, finish that horse.
Did you start him with Morgan? Is he from one of her clinics, or is he a Wire to Winning?
No.
What's he from?
Let's see.
Because he's bootylicious.
I say I've been admiring that the entire time.
He needs a little bit more booty. I started him in Shelly Hunter's class.
Oh yeah, I remember when you guys went into that.
Yeah, Christina Riley was in that.
Yeah.
Janine, and so I started him there, and here he sits. He's just not finished, and that's another one of those things that I really want to start working on and get back into doing, and hopefully do a little bit more sculpting. And
somewhere in a box, somewhere in this house is my half-finished horse from my clinic with Lynn Fraley, so don't feel bad.
How long ago was that, Heather? That was like 10 years ago.
20? No.
It was longer than that.
Where did you do?
Probably almost 20. I flew out with Leslie Kathman to Idaho. This is when I was still in North Carolina. And we flew out to Idaho and stayed with Sarah. And we were all in, it was me and Sarah and Alicia Mangan and Des Corbett. There was one other person that I can't remember, but yeah. Wow. I mean, that was in the 90s. That was forever ago.
I remember.
I did your class at the University of Tennessee. I think she had one. It's like one of the only ones she had on the East Coast.
Oh, didn't she do that at UVA?
Yeah, that's where it was. I'm sorry.
Because Katie Gertz set that up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. Yeah, that was awesome. You guys got her to come out to the East Coast.
Yeah, and that was a great class. I enjoyed that so much, and I've done one at Brook Green Gardens also.
Nice.
I love Brook Green. We used to go there when I was a kid, and so I got to do one of the sculpting classes there too, and I really enjoy that. There's so much inspiration there.
Yeah.
I just need to actually sit down and do it. That's the problem, is actually making myself get over that mental hurdle and sit down and work on it. So it's hard to justify when I'm way behind on commissions, and I'm trying to get caught up, and it's very hard to justify doing something that you want to do for yourself when you have these people that have been so patiently waiting for a long time,
Yeah, but I also think that you've got to take time for yourself, or your work's not going to be optimal, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's probably true. I always feel so guilty.
I think grinding on commissions is, and I get the pressure you must feel from that. Like, I know artists, I don't know how artists do commissions. I really I would find that suffocating.
Yeah.
But some people do really well with it. Like I tell new artists to watch it with commissions, because I think they can get into trouble really quickly with them. So
yeah. you can get overwhelmed very quickly. And I was kind of in that boat. I'm a little better now because my health is coming back. And so I'm starting to, get those projects down that are way overdue and get things finished up. But I kind of got in over my head because I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
And, I'm terrible with saying no. And I'm a little better at it now.
That is the most common problem with Artisan Commissions. Like from Sarah, who, when we were out there for her clinic that I was talking about, we went into her garage and she literally had, those big industrial shelves that people use in garages to put stuff on. She had 3 of those filled with commission horses. And we were like, Sarah,
that would make me crazy.
Yeah. So it was, it was really just like, wow.
Too much.
So yeah, and I know Pam suffered with that too because she had a hard time saying no. And as women, I think that's, we're taught to be nice and take a compliment and not say no. And artists, it takes backbone to say I can't take your commission, or I don't want to take your commission.
It's even harder when they're friends.
Sure. And I'm really proud of the new generation because the new generation seems to be a lot better at boundary drawing.
I agree. Definitely. I hope to get caught up someday soon. These poor people have been waiting way too long.
I'm sure they understand, Cynthia. Like
awesome. Everybody's been great and
good.
So what advice would you offer to aspiring artists?
Something that I have the hardest time with is don't compare your work to other people. I'm bad about doing that. And then getting discouraged and, in wanting to quit. But everybody's different. Give the horse to, 5 different artists, you're going to get 5 different results. It's completely different. I don't care if you have a formula that a certain artist uses, your product is going to be different and it's going to be good in your own way. And don't give up. Don't stop, when you're having trouble with the airbrush or you're having grain with pastels, whatever, that's normal. Everybody's had to go through that, and don't stop. Just keep going. And eventually, you'll learn more and you'll get better. And, just don't give up. And that's the biggest thing. Don't, a lot of people, it gets hard and they just quit. And I'm like, you've got talent. You just need to stay with it. And it takes years. A lot of these girls have been painting for years.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Nikki Button told us she'd been painting for 15 years. And I was like, but you're 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like, Amanda Brock, I remember stalking Amanda Brock in 2006, I think, at NANN. I was like, who are you? And she was like, get away, crazy lady.
I wish I'd just stuck with it when I was younger. I was one of those people that was just, part of my problem was I was super accomplished when I was like a young teenager. I was, she's got a high IQ and she's got all these good grades and she's good at art. And when I wasn't immediately good at something, I would abandon it. Right.
Well, me too, kind of.
So, and I've heard that's a problem with kind of overachievers. Mm-hmm. So, I'd try something, and if I wasn't good at it, I'd just move on, Right. So it's more cathartic. I don't know how good I'd be now if I kept going, but it was kind of cathartic to finish that one horse and be like, hey, this isn't half terrible. But, I didn't put all that pressure on myself, which I think everybody does, right? If they don't want to go through the ugly stage, they get discouraged and I suck. I don't have any talent for this. And, if we've heard anything from our other artists, and yourself included, like talent doesn't mean anything in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
You still got to learn the technique, and the technique's the big deal. I mean, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're 2D oil painting. I can draw all day, but when I would get into my oil painting classes, I'd get frustrated because it's not like using a pencil. It's not precise, and you have to learn the technique, and it's hard, and it's hard not to give up. It really is. And I was one of those people too. When I was in school, if anybody ever had anything better in art, than what I was doing, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. Somebody's better than me, I'm done. But, I have a different outlook now about things. And but I'm never going to stop trying to improve. That's a big thing. I want to I think you should never be stagnant. I think you should always continue to, strive to improve your technique and get better and better. So
I think that's a great lesson, because I think what artistic community, people think an artist gets there and then they're just there. And we can take a lesson from people in more technical and scientific fields, is that you never stop learning. Things are always changing. Innovation is changing. Your outlook is changing. The world itself changes. And,
or does it?
I mean, if you plateau, and we saw that happen, we see it happen all the time with artists that don't, whether mentally or they can't go any further, kind of plateau, right? And the hobby moves on, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly. That's exactly right. And I definitely want to always continue to learn different techniques. And I love, trying different types of things. And I'll never get tired of that. Different paints, nail polish, sure. Eyeshadow, sure.
Yeah. So what's in the future for you, Cynthia? I know you want to just get back up on your feet, but long-term goals, what do you see? What would you like for yourself as an artist?
Sculpting. I want to do more sculpting. I want to, I find it hard, drawing always kind of came easy. Sculpting's a little harder for me. Mm-hmm. And I really want to do more of that. I have ideas. I want to do dog sculptures.
Oh, nice.
And
maybe a cat. We need more cats.
Maybe a cat. Maybe some, maybe some wild animals. I don't know. I'd rather, I really want to do more sculpting. So that's the main thing, obviously, and to keep painting. And I'd like to do more 2D work, more painting, drawing, more oil painting, because that's a good outlet for me.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
So cool.
Those are the main things. That and hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Those are
not artist related, but
that is.
Those are my main goals right now. Yeah, that should be interesting. Definitely. I might have a support team.
Yeah, my sister-in-law
but I'm not going to paint for 6 months. I won't be able to make it.
Yeah, my sister-in-law did the whole trail at least once, and she took a whole summer to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it takes 6 months, and so I'm hoarding gear now.
Nice.
I've got gear everywhere.
I am both annoyed and I admire fitness people, because that sounds horrible. No, thank you.
I'm not really a fitness person.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Appalachians. We used to live up in Waynesville. We were, literally 5 minutes from the Smoky Mountains. But, I'm perfectly happy to get in my car and go up on the trail and just look over the scenic views.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. All right. Let's go get a beer. Let's go to
the brewery.
I love the woods. I love being out in the woods. And I guess, growing up as an only child and we live out in the middle of nowhere. And so I was a very weird kid. I'm a weird adult, but I was a weird kid.
So we're all weird adults here. So
this is our tribe.
You guys are my tribe. That's for sure. but I love the woods and I love wildlife, and you know, I'm yet to see my first bear in the wild. So
I never saw a bear when I lived there either, and I lived there for a long time, for 7 years. So
my whole family lives there. That's where I'm from, is Asheville. And my whole family, you know, they're oh yeah, they come up in the yard all the time. But you know, I've never.
I've got a friend of mine that works at Sierra Nevada there, and he's always like, "Hey, check out this bear in my front yard." And I'm like, "How come I live way further up than you, and I never saw a bear?"
Because they're all coming down into town to get into.
I've seen a bear. like they go through the garbage here.
Now that I've lived in Colorado, I'm just like bear schmare. You know, they're everywhere here. But you know, we got one time I was driving over McClellan Pass, and there's this really kind of S curve, and we were going around there at night, and our headlights like swapped around the switchback, and there was an elk just standing in the middle of the road, like, "Hey, how's it going?" It's like block it up, try not to hit the elk, and he just kind of looks at us and goes on his way, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah, you don't want to hit one of those.
Yeah.
Oh no, that would be, we were in a little tiny car, that would have been the end of us, because he was 1,500 pounds, had his huge rack, like,
oh wow, that's
he was
amazing.
Beautiful. Like it was really weird because his eyes were reflecting in the headlights, and it was like
it's like, I'm glad your brakes are good, ma'am.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what are the thoughts? Oh yeah. What other thoughts do you have for us, Cynthia? What, like, any closeout sort of statement you want to make?
You know what? Hobby, be nice to each other. Jeez. I'm not going down the road, okay? But I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but people, we are our own tribe. You know, we're rare people. Be nice to each other. That's the main thing, you know? And also, I'm going to put this out there. I'm looking for somebody to do a website in trade for paintwork right now.
Oh, there you go.
Technically challenged, so I need a website.
I could probably help you with that, Cynthia.
Yes, you probably could. Hint, hint.
I run like 4 right now. I could actually get you on a platform where we could set it up for you, and you could do it yourself after that, because it's super easy.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right.
Cool.
No worries.
You heard it here, people.
Heel brokering. I've got just the horse for you too.
Okay. Deal. That works.
So time to plug your work. Time to do jazz hands and tell everybody where you are, who you are, and what you do.
Well, on Facebook, I am just under Cynthia Wyatt Briley. And I usually post most of my finished stuff there. And on Insta, I am Lil Blue Healer. It's a long story, I know. And nobody, like, where did that come from? I'm like, well, it's a long story.
It's a dog thing, right? Is it a dog thing?
Yeah.
It's a dog thing. My first cattle dog was, you know, she was like the best girl in the whole world, and so she, you know, she became Little Blue Healer was, and it's HEALR, you know, because she really helped me out when I was going through my divorce, and she was pretty awesome. So,
yay,
Aww.
So that's really it. I post most of my stuff there, and stuff that's in progress, things like that on Insta.
Awesome.
Cool. That's it. Until you do my website. No pressure there.
I'll hit you up after later tonight. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Well, thank you for joining us, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia. It's been a great interview.
It has been.
Thank you guys very much. I'm just delighted, and it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed it tremendously, and you guys just, you know, I listen to you guys all the time, and I think you've done great things for the hobby, and I'm just so honored. So thank you.
Oh,
aw, so nice.